I think us as a staff, we took encouragement from it because we saw that just a few of the elements that we'd tried to instill in the squad in a few days came out. Yeah, can't wait. Just really looking forward to it. And hopefully, we can give them something to get behind. And they know that we're now at that moment of the season where not just every point, but every moment in the game is massive.
Ed, obviously another week to work with your players on the training ground. What's that been like? And do you feel like you're now really kind of getting a chance to impress your expectations and the way you want to do things at the club?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been nice to have that little bit of extra time. It's been positive for us also to be able to debrief last week's game at Preston, to be able to pick out the good stuff, the not so good stuff, the stuff that we want to improve on, and then to have 4 or 5 good days on the training pitch this week in the video room, both collectively and individual, has been really positive. And we asked the whole team on day one to make sure that every training session we're on it, both in terms of mental focus but also intensity and energy. And for the moment, the players have responded really well to that.
Well, that's what I was going to mention, because obviously one of the things you did kind of say that first week when you come in was there were a few things that you wanted to kind of nip in the bud in training. Has that kind of been a good response to that then?
Yeah, really good. No, really positive. Everybody's I think everybody's understood that it's in our own benefit to be able to do that. To come together a little bit more, to be more positive in general in our mindset, in our attitude towards each other. And the more intensity we can create on training, the more committed we can be on training, just the better we'll become from that.
When you do kind of come in mid-season, I know you've said a lot about kind of finding that balance between needing to pick up the players and give them confidence, but also introducing your own tactical approach. How difficult is it to kind of find that balance?
I mean, I'd say that's a massive part of the job. That's what our expertise as coaches is to find that balance between the two, to make sure that first and foremost our main focus is winning games. And so the biggest focus this week has been how to hopefully win against Derby tomorrow, and not so much about football principles, philosophy and all of that part of the game.
I know obviously you mentioned the Preston game. I think a lot of people would say that second half performance was really strong. How much encouragement do you take from that? Is that kind of the standard you want to see going forward now?
Yeah, we all took encouragement from it. I think us as a staff, we took encouragement from it because we saw that just a few of the elements that we'd tried to instill in the squad in a few days came out in that second half. I think the squad also, it gave everybody a boost, both from a football point of view, but also from an emotional point of view, to feel the power, the speed that we've got in the team and the quality that we've got in the team. And hopefully a big part of the fans will also have been encouraged, and it will have given them a bit more belief going into this weekend's game that, there's something in this team and there's something special that we can create.
So is that what it's about for you then, building belief around the whole club with the squad, but also with the fans as well, just that expectation that you can do well and a culture of positivity?
Definitely. No, really, it really is. And it all comes from us. Everything starts internally. Before anything, we had a chat with the fans this week. It comes from us first and foremost. And then from there, hopefully the fans can jump on that and can identify with us, with the team, with what we're doing. And that will just make everybody, and it will make the club much stronger.
Obviously, tomorrow at Derby will be your first game at Vicarage Road in front of those home fans. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, can't wait. Just really looking forward to it. And hopefully, we can give them something to get behind. And they can, as I say, it's that feeling of wanting them to be able to identify themselves with who we are and with what we do.
What would be your message to the fans that are going to be in the stands? How much of a boost do you think they can actually give the players on the pitch?
No, huge. And we felt that already away to Preston. The difference in those, and it's funny, it's actually more in the tricky moments of the game, difficult moments. You always have kind of ups and downs throughout a game, and those moments where either the energy just dips a little bit, or you're a little bit less in control of the game. Those moments when you feel that you've got your fans with you, behind you, can make a huge difference. Just that tipping point between getting a foothold back in the game or managing to create that positive momentum again. It can be triggered by our fans, definitely.
Just a bit on the opposition, of course. I mean, Derby in good form, and their away form is probably the reason where they are in the table. I think they've got the best points per game in terms of away games, joint best in the division. How tough a test do you think it's going to be tomorrow?
Well, the toughest. It's definitely the toughest. I mean, going away to Preston was a tough test to start with. This is one of the toughest, if not the toughest test, playing at home against Derby. They're a really good team. They're in that space where they know exactly what they're doing. They're really, really well coached. You can see exactly what John Eustace is doing there. So they've got a strong identity. We've tried to work on that, to pick out what we can in terms of how we want to go about the game, and the type of game that we want to create. We've worked out that they're really, really good on transitions, the speed, the quality they've got on counter-attacks. They're really good at set pieces as well. So I'll highlight the job that all of our analysts have done this week. It's been really good. But no, hats off to Derby and how well they've done this season, and we're definitely ready for a really, really stern test.
I mean, they do look like a side under John Eustace that will kind of come and make it really difficult tomorrow. Maybe sit back and, like you say, look to kind of hit you on the transition, on the counter. How can you kind of combat that? What do you need to do to kind of promote your own strengths in that?
Yeah, we need to make sure that we're patient. Yeah, and it's finding that balance between vertical football that we had in the second half in Preston and patience. It's not to rush anything. It's not to get caught by the traps and the pressing triggers that they have, and to make sure that we stay in the game. It's not just about the starting players tomorrow. We saw last week in Preston, we've got depth in our squad, and we've got quality impact players to come in. So that we need to see the game out over the 100 minutes or however long the game's going to be, and stay in it, be patient, and make sure that when we do have moments like we did last week, pretty much perfectly, that we take them offensively.
I guess when you kind of look at this next week as a whole, obviously Derby, Ipswich, Bristol, 3 really difficult games, but games that also feel big in terms of whether you're going to really kick on and push towards that top 6.
Yeah, it looks like that. I think that's a fair observation and a fair assessment of where we're at in the season, and it's cool to be at that moment in the season. That every game matters just maybe a little bit more, and so it's for us to manage that expectation, to stay focused on what we can control, and just to stay in the present moment. Not to be thinking about Ipswich on Tuesday or Bristol next week. Just to do everything we can to get the result against Derby, and then we'll think about Ipswich as from Sunday morning.
So you wouldn't kind of try to impress on the players that this is a really important period. It's just literally take it game by game.
They know how big it is, and they know that we're now at that moment of the season where not just every point, but every moment in the game is massive, and so we don't need to big that up anymore. The players are fully aware of that, and it's one of those things where I do believe just in staying focused on what we control. So putting together a game plan this week, getting the players fit, sharp, in the mindset of playing to win every game, and go from there.
Just in terms of the squad, Nestory Irankunda available for selection. How big a boost is that for you?
Big boost, really big boost. His energy, his quality could be massive for us. So it's great to feel that he's chomping at the bit also to be back. He knows the mistake that he made, and he knows that he might have something to give back a little bit more than anybody else as well. So no, really delighted for him, delighted for the squad as well, because he'll make us better.
And obviously we saw Kwadwo Baah make his kind of quite an emotional return to football as well. Is he someone that we could see quite a bit more of over next week, or?
Hopefully, yeah. No, we got some really good profiles there in central areas in the midfield, and he's one of the better options that we've got. So it's just up to him. We've got Pierre-Emerick, who's getting closer to getting some game minutes as well. Nampalys Mendy's done really well in the last few games. Imrân Louza showed how important he is to us in the second half last week. Edo Kiembe, can be massive for us. We've got Chakvetadze who can play in those positions as well. So, we're blessed for choice there. And it's just up to all of them to push hard, and when they do get an opportunity, to take it and to make, my choices and our choices even harder.
Just final one from me. You did mention Pierre-Emerick there. Is there any other updates in terms of the squad players who might be back, or anyone out? Or?
I don't think so. Pierre-Emerick was, as I say, getting closer. We lost out in Gakia last weekend, who wasn't 100%, and one of those where if somebody isn't 100%, then we won't be pushing forwards with them. We've had a couple of bugs go around the squad, so a few players have missed the odd session this week just because they've been out of the building for the day, not to spread any germs. And Matty Pollock, got a big knock beginning of the week, so he's what I'd say touch and go, whether he'll be fully fit or not for tomorrow. So a couple of things here and there, but again, we're lucky to have that big and that good squad that hopefully can see us through those minor issues.
Suppose with those options at the back, and last week you had fullbacks who could play at centre back, you're spoilt for choice really in defence, and you say Matty Pollock's touch and go. It doesn't just have to be dropping a player in; it could be moving a player inside. You've got lots of options there.
No, exactly. Yeah. And it's on some players it's been tough for Mark Bowler, for example, to have been a key player in the team all season, and then all of a sudden not to be in the starting lineup or not even to be involved. He deserved to get minutes. There were a few players last week who didn't get on the pitch who deserved to. Tom Ince deserved to play based on his training week. So did Mark. So no, we've got options. We've got options, and it's a little bit what I said last week. We're going to pick the team that fits every game, and playing Derby at home is a completely different game to playing Preston away. So hopefully we've made the right choices. And we're confident that we have, definitely. So no, it's interesting, and again, we're blessed to have so many options and so many quality players to be able to pick from.
How do you keep those guys motivated? Like, what conversations did you have with Mark Bowler, who I think hadn't missed a minute since October, and how did he respond?
With being as honest as possible, being as transparent with choices. There's a lot of time spent with players explaining everything to them so that they know where they sit, they understand the choices, and that they also understand that it is up to them. And Mark has done a fantastic job all season, and it was very clear with him last week that it's not that you haven't done well enough, or that I, having analysed and watched everything, that I think that you're not a good player for us. Definitely not. It's just for this game, in this in this setup, may it be for him or for Jeremy Petris or for Ngakia, it just wasn't. They weren't the profiles that I believe would give us the best chance of winning the game. And, it might be that tomorrow the game suits those players better. So I think that honesty makes a big difference. And then it's also, we've got an interesting case with Vivaldo Semedo, who is such a talented player, but has found it difficult not to be involved as much as he wants to be. And then it's up to the player there they've always got that choice, do they push on and work harder, or do they kind of just step back and give up a little bit, thinking, it's lost anyway. And so it's making sure that everybody, even the guys who are playing less, that actually they're pushing even a little bit harder to make sure that when they do get an opportunity, they can take it, or that they can, say to me, I deserve to play. So it really is up to them to make my choices as difficult as possible. And when I make the choice, that I can explain to them and be open and honest with them as to, what choice I have made.
And you laid down that challenge to Kwadwo Baah last Saturday after the way he played. How's he responded in training this week?
Exactly that. He's responded really well. He had this training week was better than the previous training week from all points of view. From a football perspective, his focus was better. He's been more connected to the team than what I saw in the first week. So fair play to him for that. His intensity all week has been better. He's been sharper. Less moments where he switched off in training. So no, I can only say how well he's done this week, and that everything isn't perfect yet, of course, but he's on the right way, on the right track.
Across the whole squad, is Ramadan something you're having to manage with the players, and fasting and so on?
Yeah, definitely. I'm used to it. I mean, we've had it. I've known that in all clubs for the last 10 years. So it's just something totally normal. One of those things that we're very open with the whole squad. A big part of the squad, follow Ramadan, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. We're lucky here to have a really good performance staff and nutritionist who does everything that she can to make sure the players are okay. My assistant also is following Ramadan, so I think we help and we support the players as well as we can.
Is Pierre Duomo someone who's involved at the moment?
Not for the moment. He's not. In this moment, he's not in first team training.
And that's kind of situation that you came into rather
than
your call.
Yeah, and I haven't had any input on that. It's just something that the club is managing, and we'll see where we're at. I think it's just week by week that they're evaluating that.
Okay. And just final one, Dan Gosling was part of the staff last week. Is that's continued into this week, and he'll be with you tomorrow?
Yeah, that's been confirmed. He did a fantastic job with us last week. I wanted to just, see how he felt with us for the week, how he fit in with us, and also to make sure that each of the assistants, the roles, the responsibilities that they have suit them as well, which is important. I want them to come in and to feel, engaged and fulfilled in what they're doing. He was brilliant at it. So I'm really pleased that he, we sat down for a chat on Sunday and that he was, enthusiastic to keep going. And I've asked him to stay on. Yeah.
Of course, that's a permanent appointment, or for now?
Permanent until end of season anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Cheers.